The scent of moist soil filled Laura's nostrils as she trudged through the thick foliage of the forest. She had been hiking for hours, her feet sore and her body fatigued. The sun was setting behind the trees, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Laura knew she should have turned back, but her thirst for adventure had gotten the best of her, and now it was too late. Laura looked up at the sky. It was getting darker by the minute, and she needed to find a place to camp for the night. As she walked, she heard a rustling sound coming from the bushes nearby. Laura froze in her tracks, scanning the area for any signs of danger. She could see nothing, but the hairs on the back of her neck stood up. She had heard stories about these woods, but she never thought she'd be in any danger. Laura continued on her way, her heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly, she spotted an old cabin up ahead. It was small and dilapidated, with wooden walls that were weathered and cracked. It looked like it had been abandoned for years, but it was better than nothing. Laura decided to check it out. The cabin was musty and dark inside, but it would have to do. Laura set up her sleeping bag and tried to get comfortable, but something felt off. She couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone. Then, she heard it. Footsteps outside the cabin. Laura's heart raced as she tried to stay quiet. The footsteps grew louder, coming closer and closer. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a man stood in the doorway, his face hidden behind a mask. Laura screamed as he lunged towards her, grabbing her by the hair and yanking her out of the cabin. For hours, Laura was tortured by her captor. Her screams echoed through the woods, but there was no one there to help her. The man was a sadistic killer, taking pleasure in the pain he inflicted on his victims. Laura was just another pawn in his twisted game. Days turned into weeks, and Laura became a shell of her former self. She was beaten and starved, her spirit broken. But even in the depths of her despair, she never gave up hope. She knew that one day she would escape, and escape she did. One night, when her captor was passed out drunk, Laura managed to break free of her restraints and run into the woods. She was lost and alone, but she didn't care. She was free. As the sun rose over the trees, Laura stumbled upon a group of hikers who had been searching for her. They wrapped her in a blanket and called for help, and soon, she was on her way to safety. But even though she was free from her captor, Laura knew that she would never be the same. The memories of her torture would haunt her for the rest of her life, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks in the human soul.